Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Totally Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, JoshAgeddon, and I'm joined with...
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to go first?
I was like, who's going first?
I was trying to give Skyler the green light here to actually start and be the second man, but he completely missed his cue, and that is the type of...
I didn't know I had a cue.
I have come to expect...
No. Just before we start this, Joshua says, 3, 2, 1, and here we go, without giving us any sort of cue of what's the hell's going to happen.
This is already my favorite intro for anything I've ever done.
The Totally Awesome Podcast in a nutshell.
So we have the Colonist.
Hello, and JoshAgeddon, I have taken the liberty of, because this is not my show, this is your show,
yeah.
But I've taken the liberty of writing you an intro.
Oh, God, okay. Introduce me, Sean, on my own show.
Okay, so for those of you, I am, of course, the Colonist. Skyler Greenberg, who missed his cue, was the man earlier. You can hear his intro on my show. But here, your host for this evening, the technologically deficient, energy drink proficient, pie-eating, DBZ Monopoly beaten, always winning because always cheating, the one, the only host of the Totally Awesome Podcast, the one, the only, JoshAgeddon. Thank you for hosting this abysmal review,
dude,
which has gone so well so far.
I heard Dragon Ball Z Monopoly and I lost it. You got me there. You got me there. So long story short, this is 2 weeks late.
That's about par for the course, though.
Yeah, I mean...
But no, it helps because we needed the time to quarantine ourselves from this show.
It wasn't that bad. It definitely had its moments.
It was, to me, it's another case of WWE being the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And they always have a little in each show.
And also, speaking of Dragon Ball Z, it's nice to see Skyler return to this podcast as his normal self, not just a stack of notes. I feel like if you tried to kill Skyler, he would just regenerate as like a stack of notes. Like a stack of notes would form and create a Skyler. Like Majin Buu.
See, I'm a little disappointed that Sky did not choose to turn into his bar of chocolate form for this.
No, because I'm not... I would just make white chocolate. That's all I'd make. the worst chocolate in the chocolate rainbow.
White chocolate's not even chocolate.
Exactly.
Anyway, so yeah, Survivor Series 2020. What are you guys' thoughts on the show now that it's been 2 weeks removed?
Go ahead, Sky.
Remember when Survivor Series meant something?
Yeah, you remember when they used to, there used to be stakes and things, mattered, and there wasn't just a bunch of random matches for no reason?
Survivor Series has just become the company's softball game.
It honestly has.
Welcome to the Survivor Series Kevin Dunderdome.
Oh my god. The camera work was so bad on this show.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's the honestly the mark of this show, good or bad, was Kevin Dunn really taking everything that could have been good and making it awful. Specifically,
the two main Survivor Series tag matches, there were some instances where the camera work was so just atrocious. It made people look like idiots, and we missed cool stuff because the camera was focused on other stuff. It's just...
Oh, it wasn't just the camera work. It was everything.
It was all the sound because we have crowd noise in an empty arena.
Oh, yeah.
And I swear to God, they better not bullshit that crap when we go to the Tampa Bay Rays baseball stadium.
They just might.
Also, the Thunderdome is still awful, in case any of you were wondering. I still hate it.
This pay-per-view was when I really started to get sick of it.
I was sick of it since its inception, but... seriously, my first thought when I ever saw the Thunderdome was, this looks dumb. And here we are, months later. It's still dumb.
Now it's just distracting.
Yes.
Now you can't even focus in the ring because all you're seeing is these changing derpy faces in the background.
They're looping. Honestly, like I saw, there was at least a couple times where I saw like the same person doing the exact same motion on a loop, and I'm like, this is so fake. This is so fake and cornbally.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's actually good that it distracted us from this show because there was a lot of crap that was just bad.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start off with the opening matchup. We had the Men's Survivor Series Tag Team match. AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, Sheamus, and Keith Lee from Raw versus Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin, Otis, Kevin Owens, and Jey Uso. And I have some things to say about Jey Uso, even though it's not necessarily his fault, although it kind of looks like his fault, but we'll get to that. Thoughts on this match?
Well, I'm going to start by correcting you because it is no longer Matt Riddle. It's just Riddle.
Are you serious?
Oh, did you not know
his
this?
first name?
Why? I hate this company!
We don't know.
Alright, immediately down a number grade. Down a number grade.
Nobody knows why this decision was made. It's a stupid name change.
He needs to come out in a green onesie covered in question marks.
Why? I can guarantee you it's going to be for a stupid reason.
Well, what was really stupid was the fact that they had that big 3G graphic of his goddamn flip-flops. How is that appealing to a modern audience?
I don't know.
I still think it's pyro.
Why with all the 3D animation shit? Like, what the fuck? I'm not at Universal Studios.
Like, I even think, like, the pyro is stupid to do in front of no audience, just a bunch of screens. But...
Oh, yeah, well, they continue to do stuff that it's not even for us. It's just so they can get a jolly out of it. That was this whole match. This match was not for the fans. This match was a matchup between Fox and USA.
There were so many moments in this match where I just threw my hands up in frustration. Like, it wasn't bad, but there were so many moments that were just absolutely stupid. Also, Otis's blue collar thing is awful. It's
Otis's everything is awful.
Is awful. He threw some decent belly to belly suplexes. That's about it.
Here's the thing. We have Keith Lee in the ring. Otis tags in, and Michael Cole, in his weeniest voice he could possibly say, "This is a battle between two super heavyweights." Fuck off.
Oh my god.
Let me tell you something about Michael Cole. There is no life in his voice anymore. He is dead behind the eyes and in the soul. There is nothing to this man anymore. It is sad.
He is
it's just script.
An actual puppet. He is an actual puppet. He actually has Vince's hand up his ass at all times.
Yeah, it was just all of these things between the lifeless commentary. Corey Graves is just being insufferable. Period. I'm done with him.
Was this the match where Samoa Joe said, and I quote, "What is good for the goose is good for the gander"? I remember Samoa Joe saying that on this show, and I actually wanted to hang myself.
In all credit to Samoa Joe,
yes.
In all credit to Samoa Joe, he has gotten much better on commentary. But it's still WWE formatted commentary.
Oh,
so
and
no matter how good that person is, they're always going to suck because of the way that they're told to produce it.
And another wonderful quote, Skyler, you mentioned earlier when Keith Lee and Otis were in the ring together, Samoa Joe said, "Let's get the earth a-quaking." Can we not? Can we not? Please?
Well, you know what my favorite Samoa Joe line is when, I forget what the matchup was with Drew McIntyre, but he was like, Drew's going to have to focus, he's going to have to think less and clay more.
That was the one from SummerSlam.
I hate myself. I hate that I laughed
ridiculous.
at that. Oh my god. I think it's more your delivery, Sean, because you can get away with that.
Sometimes, when you're as much of a lunatic as I am and have a gimmick like I do, you can make even the worst lines sound halfway decent, but unfortunately...
With this particular match, can we start with Seth Rollins' elimination?
Yes, please. The first time I wanted to quit on this show.
I was dreading. I did quit. I after this.
Why?
I saw Seth get eliminated, and then I stopped and turned off the program, and then turned it on the next day and started watching again.
I don't blame you. Like, I was watching this with my friend Bradley. Shout out to Mr. Perfect Fangstein. We were watching this together, and we were both absolutely confused. What was the point of this?
This was the way to write off Seth Rollins because Becky Lynch is about to pop.
But, like, is he, like, mad? Didn't they say he was mad that he was drafted to drafted to SmackDown from Raw, and he wants Raw to win or something like that? Is that the storyline?
Yes.
Then just walk out and get counted out. You don't have to get kicked in the face.
The saddest part of this is that Seth was probably the guy in this entire SmackDown roster that had the highest amount of star power, and he lost with the stupidest means and the stupidest WWE just kid show storytelling garbage that makes no sense, and just this is finger poke of doom bad.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but it's still pretty dumb. It is still pretty dumb. Just Seth just giving up and getting kicked in the face in the middle of the match. If you wanted Raw to win, then just leave the match. You don't have to get kicked in the face. Or better yet, then just like quit your contract on SmackDown and get a new contract to Raw. And you know how they can do that because it's fake. He's not.
Joshua, you're getting too emotionally invested in this because it's stupid.
I'm trying to use logic. I'm trying to use logic in an illogical situation.
No place for
I'm
logic here,
sorry.
bro.
I'm
Take that
sorry.
logic shit and leave it at the door. We don't come here for logic.
God, I want to kill myself.
On a side note, unrelated to wrestling, I do want to give a congratulations to Seth Rollins on about to become a dad.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
I'm just thinking, John Moxley's also about to become a dad and Roman's already a father. So just picture this. A video package, Delta, Alpha, Delta, Sierra, dads. And then the three of them are
Dodo,
walking apart,
dads.
And a baby strapped to their vest.
They changed the entire theme song, so now instead of having the guitars, just dad.
Okay, please let that be a thing. Father's Day with the Shield.
Book it, WWE.
I would actually love that.
No, John Moxley's not in WWE anymore, so...
Screw it, it's good enough, it's good enough.
It needs to be on their Twitters.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
The next really stupid thing in this match, Kevin Owens was giving everyone a stunner, and then AJ Styles gives him the phenomenal forearm, and he goes for the pin. Jey Uso's in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and watches the entire pinfall without trying to break it up. Why?
You missed the part where Team Raw started running in and attacking Team SmackDown, and Team SmackDown started running in and attacking Raw, so they all got distracted.
No, he was staring at it. Like, Jey Uso was staring at the pinfall and did nothing.
Well, because they only have so much time, Mr. Geddon. Jey Uso's not supposed to do his stuff till later, so
then clothesline him. Kick him in the face. Like,
come on, don't add details like that. Don't add logical things that would make it look like a fight.
Or just zoom in on the pin where Jey Uso's out of the shot, so he doesn't look like an idiot.
I suppose.
I mean, he looked like the biggest moron.
Was Kevin Owens giving Team Raw a DX chop and telling them to suck it.
I hate Kevin Owens' stunner, by the way. It looks awful.
Me too.
It's getting worse.
Me too.
It is getting worse the more he does it.
Kevin Owens has lost a lot of steam, hasn't he?
Yes.
That wasn't a pun.
Oh my God.
We appreciate it nonetheless.
Thank you.
But he
go back to the pop-up powerbomb, please.
Yes. It's so much better. It's cooler.
Oh, and while we're on the subject of getting rid of stuff, get rid of AJ Styles using that forearm as a finish.
Yes, I've hated that since he started doing that.
I hate it.
It's just a forearm.
Styles Clash or bust.
Or the calf crusher.
The problem with the only problem with the Styles Clash is that it takes time to set up, and in the context of a fight, it's much easier just to use a forearm. Plus, I like that AJ has multiple finishers.
Then get rid of the forearm and bring it real back TNA, bring back the spiral tap.
Didn't he forget how to do that?
AJ does not have the physical capacity to do the spiral tap anymore.
Then do a 450. Like
He won the TNA championship in 2009 with a 450 against Sting of all people at Bound for Glory.
Bring back didn't he call it the Superman, the springboard 450?
Well, he uses that as a setup. He uses that as a setup move.
A 450 splash as a setup move.
Yeah. Welcome to modern pro wrestling.
Wrestling is dead.
Yes.
End of podcast. See you guys next. I'm just kidding. But
Yep,
still,
see you guys. That was it.
we've now reached the point
Next week on the
where a
Car
forearm.
Podcast, watch me and Sean combat in Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There's now a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast.
This
is Memorial Day weekend after all.
Let's think about this. Just think about this. A flying forearm is a finishing move, and a 450 splash is not. How?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
Yes, it's depressing.
Yeah. Go watch AEW. So go watch a Young Bucks match sometime, and then tell me about moves having meaning.
That's the thing, Joshua, is that you have not been watching All Elite Wrestling, and if you watch them, you would never complain about WWE and finishers ever again.
I have a feeling that you're right, but I haven't been watching AEW. Let me have this.
No, it's. I would say it's just as bad. It's honestly industry-wide.
No, it's worse. It's worse.
It's industry-wide.
But I will say, speaking of Jey Uso, that pop-up Samoan drop was beautiful. That looked great. It always looks great when he does that.
I wish there weren't three Usos on this show.
Match.
Huh?
Well, Jey Uso, to me, I think Jey Uso did a pretty good job at the end of this match, but what I wanted to mention was that I really wish that we didn't have three Samoans on this show and all three of them doing Samoan drops.
Yeah.
Can you all choose one person to do it? I would have actually chosen Nia Jax because hers actually looks like the most impactful, but...
Who was it that...
Well, I mean, they're all part of the same family, so, I mean...
I know, but that's part of the problem. Even still, like, if you're trying to set up where the moves actually had any meaning, which I know they don't anymore, but seeing it now makes it mean less when Nia does it, which makes it mean less when Roman does it.
So what you're saying is that we need more Samoan-based moves.
Who was it in the match that gave AJ Styles that tilt-a-whirl backbreaker?
We need the Samoan uppercut. We need the Samoan DDT.
Hang on. Who was it that gave AJ Styles that tilt-a-whirl DDT? I mean, that tilt-a-whirl backbreaker in this match?
It was awful.
It was awful. That was... I actually, I yelped because that looked really bad. Could have paralyzed the dude.
That was Corbin.
It was Corbin?
Of course.
Yeah, he tried to give him a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but he kind of dropped him a little bit. No, it was Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens gave him the back body drop. And AJ immediately...
No, you're right.
I love it when AJ takes a back body drop, because he launches himself. Really, but then Kevin Owens tried to give him a backbreaker, and kind of dropped him a little, but still kneed him right in the spine. And I was just like, oh, God.
Yeah, that looked gnarly. I made a point to note it in my notes.
Yeah, that looked really bad. But credit to AJ, he shook it off.
Speaking of Baron Corbin, he has really regressed, hasn't he?
There was a point where he was better than this?
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone has regressed.
Watch his match with Rhino in NXT. It's solid stuff.
Or even his match with AJ Styles and Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship a couple of years ago. Yeah,
you're right. That was a pretty good match.
He had his moments, but, they shaved his head, made him Constable Corbin, and the rest was bad. And then they actually real life blamed him for him being a kayfabe general manager for their ratings being down.
That's hilarious.
And then they made him a king.
For over a year. Why is he still King Corbin?
Because they have no idea what to do with him.
They have no idea what to do with anyone on this show.
Well, two people, but they're the main event, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
But, anyway, so, when it came down to everyone versus Jey Uso did look really good, although I wish he would stop throwing so many... All he was doing was super kicks. And
it was a super kick party.
And the finish was really cool. The finish was really cool. And yes, I will give Keith Lee props for naming his move the Spirit Bomb, because that's just got me right where I live. And Raw with the clean sweep over SmackDown, so...
Now, you
the
want
more
to know how
things
this
change, the more they stay the same.
Yep.
Now, do you guys want to know how this victory built into Raw's storylines?
Sure.
Okay. So, did you all see the spot where Braun Strowman got injured, by the way?
No, I did not.
What one was it?
I think it was when Jey Uso pushed Braun Strowman into the turnbuckle and his knee hit the turnbuckle.
That would
I'm
do
not
it.
sure. Anyways, so 5-time NWA World Champion Adam Pearce is congratulating the team on Raw, and he's going to give them the opportunity to fight for the WWE Championship. And then Braun Strowman gets pissed because he gets named last. So Braun headbutts Pearce, and he's out. And that's the cover for him not being for the title. So they have a series of contendership matches, and the one that comes out on top is AJ Styles.
Yeah, isn't the main event, well, one of the main events for TLC going to be Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles?
Yes, it is.
I'm all about that.
That I can definitely tolerate.
Yeah, that'll be a good match.
What I cannot
But
tolerate...
apparently, by the way, apparently Braun Strowman was supposed to face Drew McIntyre until he got injured.
Fuck me.
I'm going to take that as a reprieve.
So, but thank you, Braun Strowman, for being injured. Actually, that's the thing Jey
Jesus,
Uso
Skyler.
turnbuckle. Jey Uso saving Raw and SmackDown.
Yes. You know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
I would say AJ is definitely an upgrade, but what is not an upgrade to anything is Otis. And I want to mention this before we get to the finish of this match, because Otis did this one sequence where he made this comeback, and all his stuff landed flat, looked good. He had a house of fire, he laid his stuff in, and then he did the Kool-Aid Man, oh yeah, and the caterpillar, and it just completely destroyed the moment.
Yeah.
If Otis
Needs to get
actually,
rid of
like,
the
if he
needs
had
to
a
get rid of
better
the caterpillar.
gimmick, if he had a better gimmick and just tightened up some of his stuff, stopped being so WWE goofy, there'd be something to him.
But it's a kids show, Sean. You need to be goofy.
I know.
Fuck the children.
Wow. FBI, open up.
So, I guess the bottom line with this whole match is I am really tired of these colored t-shirt contests.
Me too.
It's a softball game.
They
That's all it is.
didn't even
It's
have a
company
scoreboard
softball game.
tonight.
Good job, USA Network. You won. You beat Fox.
Yeah. Kind of like last time and the time before that.
You're killing it.
I don't want to even talk about the next match.
I don't either.
We're going to anyway. So, Tag Team Champion versus Tag Team... First off, let me mention, they showed the commercial for the Gears of War thing where you can play as the New Day. Isn't Gears of War supposed to be, like, super serious?
Yes.
Super serial.
And they turned it into Fortnite with the New Day.
Okay. To be fair, the armor is pretty awesome.
It looks really cool, but it looks like Fortnite.
Everything's becoming Fortnite now.
Even Gears of War's Gears of Fortnite. I want to die. But anyway, so we have Tag Team Champion versus Tag Team Champion. The Street Profits, twist it, pull it. Anyway, I'm sorry. The Street Profits versus the New Day. Thoughts on this match?
This was the Street Profits' best match on the main roster, but it's only because the New Day were carrying them through it.
Yeah, faint praise. I had issues with this. I had a lot of issues with this. I actually did not like this tag match at all. I don't want to say I hated it because that's going a little far. But if I didn't watch this match, I would have been fine not watching this match. And by the way, who puts a 30-second video game vignette in the middle of an entrance?
Yeah, I kind of thought that was weird too.
Why would you do that? And then, mid-entrance, you finish your entrance, and then you go to a minute and a half promo. With them already in the ring. And it's a performed, scripted promo. It wasn't even a promo that was organic or felt genuine. It was Private Party, the Street Profits, being performing scripted material.
They are so annoying.
And not making it look like or feel like they meant anything that they said.
Can I give a reason?
Because they suck.
Yes.
Not mincing
but
words.
Can I give a reason?
Because I just gave you the reason.
Let me give you another reason. The other reason is that they haven't cut the promo so Kofi and Xavier could take off the armor.
Oh.
Okay, good for them.
Oh, that's not a good reason, though. That's not a good reason.
That's the reason why.
That's a reason, not a good reason, but...
Yep.
I thought the match was fine. I mean, it's kind of hard to enjoy a match when you hate one team and you don't really care about the other team and you just kind of want it to end. There was some cool moves. That's all I have to say.
That's all this match was. There were no baby faces. There were no heels. New Day tried to do...
Hold on.
New Day... No, you don't get to hold on until I finish all of my sentence here, sir. You stay in your place.
I'm the referee. Yellow flag on Skyler. Sean gets to talk.
So, there were no baby faces and no heels, even though Kofi and Xavier tried to add a little heelish tactics to make some sort of hot tag, make it feel like there was a hot tag, plus Kevin Dunn pumping in the stupid chants, which didn't help.
Yeah.
But there was... This match, there wasn't really much babyface shine or heat, and the comeback was weak, and then it just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, this was a long match.
Became moves. Then it just became four guys doing setup moves, and then Street Profits won. And then they all hugged. What a great, happy moment about two teams who are willing to try to fight each other and beat each other up. Yeah. Hugs.
I will say, for me, the best part of this match... Kofi Kingston did that dive over the top rope where he, splashes into you with his hip. He obliterated Montez Ford. That looked really, really ugly. It was gruesome. He demolished him with that dive on the outside.
Go ahead, Sky.
I'm not sure I want to talk.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
This was an AEW tag team style match. That's all I have to say.
Pretty much everything Sean just said. Condensed into one sentence.
The Street Profits are fine, but they're not anything special. They're just an energetic tag team in the mold of a Private Party or an Enzo and Cass.
Energetic?
Energetic. Because Montez Ford has so much energy, he could light a city.
Can we burn that city down?
That city is called Ohio.
While we're on the subject of Montez Ford, before we move on from Montez Ford, can I mention how much I hate Montez Ford's face and eyes and rest of his body?
Okay, I'm a little late to the party on this one, but I'm also starting to get annoyed by his constant wide-eyed and that weird dance he did on the apron at the beginning of the match where he was climbing on his knees. I hate
Ford
him.
Is the Ultimate Warrior clone.
That's an insult to the Ultimate Warrior, and
it's overselling. He's trying to get too much out of his facials, and I think if he dialed it down a little bit, he'd be a lot better. Because he did dial it down later on, and he showed he could sell normally. He just is like every other thing with WWE's presentation. It was just overly cartoony.
And also the part where Kofi Kingston was, he was holding Montez's cup, and that somehow pissed Montez off, and the announcers are like, "Oh, the disrespect!" And then Kofi kicks the cup, and it doesn't even go an inch into the screens. It blows back towards Kofi, which was kind of funny. That was the next time I wanted to quit.
Why did they still do this solo cup thing? I hated this from the start. They're still pouring solo cups for the custodians to pick up afterwards.
And Bradley was like, when me and Bradley were watching this, he was like, well, he did kick his cup. And I was like, did you see his entrance? They have more. 100 cups rain from the sky. He has more cups.
But
why is it this one cup?
That cup is blue and the rest of them were red. Because he's on SmackDown now.
Skyler, please. Please just...
By the way, just think, on one wrestling show, we have a heat spot involving a guy ripping off the pockets of another guy's pants. And on this show, we have someone kicking a solo cup.
Professional wrestling, ladies and gentlemen,
is
wonder
dead.
Why we like it.
It is deceased. We are just pissing on its rotting carcass at this point.
And speaking of that cup kick, the saddest part about that is if had that place been full of fans, that would have gotten a pop.
Yeah.
And I would have been disappointed in the fans for popping at something dumb like that.
Yeah. Although I will say...
Move on. This is giving me cancer.
Okay. Up next... I don't have much to say about this next match because nothing really happened. Intercontinental Champion versus U.S. Champion Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. This is what I'll say about this match. I like the Hurt Business. I think it's cool. Sami did nothing but yell and whine and complain, and then he got submitted with the Hurt Lock, and that was it.
I liked it for its simplicity.
It was like Sami did practically nothing in this match.
What Sami kept trying to do is he kept trying to get himself disqualified or kept trying to get himself counted out, but the Hurt Business kept cutting him off. So he was trying to do the heel thing, even though the heel is outnumbered by the baby faces 4-1.
Yep.
So
we had a babyface versus babyface match immediately followed by a heel versus heel match.
Well, no, because Sami was being annoying.
The Hurt Business are babyfaces?
I think after they faced Retribution, they are now baby faces because Retribution was something that happened that made sense, that turned all the heels baby faces for no reason.
Can you tell I haven't been really paying attention to the product? I mean, give me one reason why I should.
Kind of a baby face now.
No, he is not. No, we are not. We are not getting into that.
Well, he was anyway.
Damn it, Alexa Bliss.
The Hurt Business looked great. I agree with you. I really like the Hurt Business. The commentary sucks the enthusiasm out of this entire show.
Corey Graves, they do this with every single heel announcer. What is happening?
I'm pretty sure that we're in the middle of heated traffic.
Yeah, but there's a train going by, it sounds like.
Or we're on a train.
That's mine.
I was wondering.
I'll move to a better place.
Folks, wrestling is so dead, we are getting on the next train out of Dodge. So,
the hype train has left the building.
Any one of the three of us on the internet.
Yeah.
My apologies, I live next to a train station, so...
Honestly, that was more entertaining than a lot of the stuff on the show.
Has podcasts. You should know this by now.
Yeah, but I don't care about this match. Can we move on?
I liked it. It wasn't huge. It wasn't massive. It had no purpose. But for what it was, they all did a pretty good job at it.
I really like Bobby Lashley. I'm sad that he is where he is right now because honestly, he should be in the main event.
I will say I preferred his full Nelson finishing move, the Hurt Lock, when he grapevined. But now it's just a standing full Nelson. I wish he would add back the grapevine, but that's just a nitpick.
Yeah, because it's not an impressive finisher. It looks weird.
Yeah.
Well, they might be able to save it for a match that actually bears the significance to need to grapevine. I don't think Sami Zayn's a guy you grapevine for.
No.
You know? But that's that.
Yeah. All right, and after this, we had a segment where Roman Reigns was just yelling at Jey Uso, pretty much setting the seeds.
No, he was not. He was not yelling. He was talking affirmatively.
He was calmly chastising Jey, planting the seeds for our main event later tonight.
But he gave him the old, "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed."
Yeah, and that's just the worst thing you can ever hear from your dad.
Roman Reigns with that bad energy.
Jey Chandleman Uso. I am disappointed in you, son.
You lost a 5-on-1 match. How dare you?
No. Matter of fact, get out to the house. You're going to think about what you did.
Get out of my arena and think about what you did.
So the next match
Alpha.
The next match.
Sierra, dads.
The next match we had. What is this becoming?
Roman Reigns giving Alexa to Jey Uso that for the dad theme of the Shield to play would be absolutely a great entertainment.
Yes, absolutely.
Dad.
Dad. Anyway.
Asuka versus Sasha Banks.
Yeah, Asuka versus Sasha Banks, Raw Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion. I thought this was fine. Although we've seen this match a million times before.
I thought they did too much. It was fine, but this was another babyface versus babyface match.
Yep.
So that I could only get so invested.
Yeah. It was like there was nothing wrong with it. My biggest problem is I've seen this match so many times before this year, and I just don't care.
I completely skipped it. Because you're right. We've seen this match since Extreme Rules in July.
Oh,
and
Christ.
so how much can you get out of a match you've seen 5 or 6 times in months? Like,
But Sky, now they're both happy baby faces and they don't dislike each other, so they can hug at the end. Aren't you excited?
fuck no.
Asuka did a really cool code breaker at one
I didn't
point.
know they hugged, and that makes it even worse.
Like she caught Sasha in midair with a code breaker at one point. That was cool. That was the main thing.
That was cool.
That was the main thing I got from this match.
But I'll tell you something.
Asuka's code breaker looks better than Jericho.
I'll tell you though, I did actually mention that in my notes, but I'm losing favor with Asuka. She's really diminishing for me, and I feel bad about that. But the way I call this is a non-canon Gray Side of the Force match. Because
Please explain.
Neither are heel, neither are baby faces, and this match bears no significance to what any of these two are doing and will not be acknowledged any time with WWE down the line whatsoever.
So every match on the show tonight?
Basically, but it's like, but here, the craziest thing is like, Sasha, Corey Graves made some mention that Sasha Banks didn't have a one-strike finish the way that Asuka does, and I feel bad for saying this, but the first thing that came to my mind was tell that to Paige.
Oh, wow. Too soon. Too soon, Sean. Jesus. Man. Sean, that joke knocked the feeling out of me.
I know, it was straight up sinister. I understand that. I acknowledge this.
Oh, man.
But anyway, then Sasha Banks does a head scissors, and
completely
Asuka's
screws it
supposed
up.
to like sell it and then go through the ropes, I think, but she just kind of like hit the ropes and the timing was bad and she didn't get to the outside.
Yeah, that looked awkward.
And then we had once again another shot. Do we have to have an apron spot on every single show?
Yes, because the apron is the hardest part of the ring.
Shut up, JBL. Shut up.
Michael.
I'm tired of this. It's just, and then they do this thing. Another thing, a nitpick, is when they do the count out, and then they count, like the count out gets to 8, and then they jump up and run back in the ring.
Yep, they have to do it every time.
I have to do that every time. And then I had a revelation. After Kevin and Dunn missed another picture-in-picture spot twice in this match.
Oh, wait till we get to the next match. I have some words for Kevin Dunn in the next match. Anyway,
but here's my big problem, and this was my revelation. The moves look contrived and set up because when you have no heel and babyface dynamic, the focus on the moves psychologically is sharpened. So then subconsciously, it makes not only any fan smart to the illusion, but it makes them hyper-focused and you notice more when things don't look right.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
So this is why a babyface and babyface match, except in extreme circumstances, just won't work. Because you're making fans fans who are already smart and pretentious and having podcasts like this, focus on your moves.
That's why we're a good podcast, because we're self-referential.
That's right. We're AEW. We're breaking the fourth wall.
Yes.
That's right. So...
Super kick. I just super kicked my microphone.
This match was just blah. It had no feeling to it. It had no ebb and flow. There was no pace. Asuka's just... I feel like she's getting worse.
She's just been deflated.
And it's just... Sasha, I understand, she needed the win. I'm not saying she didn't need the win. But they did too much. Asuka just doesn't do it for me anymore. They've completely ruined her from what she used to be. This year was a really big part of that, having her basically be the only constant in any women's division, both women's divisions. This match did more harm than good.
It just wasn't interesting. I mean, it was. I didn't hate it. It wasn't awful. It was just kind of there, and I just don't care. And that rhymed, so that's why we're gonna leave it.
And then the gobbledygooker came, won the 24/7 title, and R-Truth won it back. We're just going to move right along from that.
I literally have that listed in my notes.
Gulak inside the costume.
I literally have in my notes that listed as 24/7 title bullshit.
Yep.
So
moving right along.
This next match, good God, I don't even know what to say about this next match. Women's tag: Lana, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce from Raw versus Bayley, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, who was awful in this match, Liv Morgan, and Natalya from SmackDown. Oh God, this match. I'll let you guys go first.
I'll let you go first, Sky.
I miss Charlotte Flair.
Me too.
Wow! We've reached a new low.
And the previous one have made me miss Charlotte and Becky, but mostly Charlotte because I fans the Queen. So I am going to be careful about how I say this because I know what I'm going to say is extremely controversial. So I'm a believer in women's equality. I'm a believer in gender equality and giving women the same opportunity as men to be success in any industry. However, what I am not a fan of is representation for the sake of representation and PR bullshit, especially with women who are not talented and do not deserve it. Now, who am I talking about?
Just name a woman in this match and you would be correct, honestly.
And again, it's nothing against the women. They try, okay?
Yeah, they try.
I'm not faulting any of them. It's just that they are not trained to be able to have this type of matchup, except for like one or two of them. And they are booked horrendously to the point of not looking good whatsoever. But it's also just a talent issue. Like, the women's division is still shallow as hell.
Yep.
And when you don't have a horsewoman to beef it up, it really shows how badly it is, especially because which one got eliminated first.
Yep.
Sean, why don't you go?
Well, first of all, you're an awful person, Sky. I'm offended by everything you said, and I'm going to cancel you.
I cannot believe we've allowed such a misogynist on this show.
Wow. What? After everything that JoshAgeddon and I have said on this podcast, this is the one. This is the thing that's going to end it.
I was this close to being monetized, Skyler.
I don't think we're getting out of this one, Josh. I think we're done. I think it's over from here.
God. How can you sleep at night?
No, but in all seriousness, I might say something more controversial than what you just said, Sky. I kind of like this match.
I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't bad. There were moments. Hang on.
Let me explain.
There were moments that were good, and there were moments that sucked, and then there was just moments that were just there.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Let me explain, Ricky. Let me explain. Because I got some explaining to do. Immediately, the fact that this match was not USA Network versus Fox and actually had some build and some storyline going into it immediately made it better than the men's 5-on-5.
Can I just say, before you continue, the storyline of Nia Jax giving Lana a Samoan drop through a table over and over and over and over again is my favorite storyline right now because it's that funny.
It's funny for the wrong reasons, and it does not get the desired effect of trying to make Lana look like a babyface.
It's just funny. I want Nia Jax to do that every single show from now on until the end of time.
It's funny, but the thing is, she went through 9 tables and she's still walking? Christ! That woman must have a back of steel!
I was angry that Nia didn't do it again after this match.
Well,
I actually started booing.
Here's the thing. Lana has a lot of practice from Rusev and being in the camel clutch.
You know, I was thinking that, but you beat me to it. And at the 45-minute mark, we have hit the point of no return.
So, now that the horse has left the barn...
Break her back, make her humble.
Or maybe limped into the barn. So...
Jesus Christ.
This is deteriorating. So, here's the thing. It had storyline to it. It had build. Bayley was great being like, showing everyone, hey, I'm the captain. And everyone's like, yeah, all right. And she's like, no, look, I'm the captain. I love that. I love Nia and everyone like yelling at Lana and being like, get in the corner. You stand there in the corner and you don't move. You stay there. I loved that. That was hysterical.
Why is Nia Jax also the Samoan mother? You stay in the corner and you think about what you did.
Why is the theme of this show parents being awful?
I thought Nia Jax was one of the better parts of this show. Of this matchup, I should say.
It hurts to say that, but yes, I agree.
But
the bar is so low.
The bar is very low.
But it wasn't any of her wrestling, obviously. It was just the personality she was exuding. That was more charisma I've seen out of Nia Jax than I think I've ever seen out of Nia Jax.
Yeah, just give her a sidekick that she hates and torments.
Let these people be themselves.
Yeah.
Nia Jax I could see Nia Jax getting over if she was just being herself. I will never forget that stupid Be a Star promo she cut.
Oh, from Backlash 2018?
After beating Alexa Bliss, that the crowd just booed the hell out of.
Yeah.
That to me signified the problem that they had. But Nia here, she was being a bitch, which was great because that's what she should be doing.
Yeah.
I thought, and the Pyro promo, and I loved Bayley also. Just while we're talking about the entrance, the Bayley promo where she's like, "Boo!" She gets the pyro, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, they waited till me to get the pyro. You guys get pyro? No, I didn't think so. I get pyro. You don't get pyro. I get pyro."
Before we continue, there were 2 things that really caught my attention in this match. One, Shayna Baszler was in the ring with Ruby Riott. Shayna threw a kick, and I think Ruby was supposed to duck, but she didn't. And my God, Shayna almost decapitated her. That was so nasty.
Yeah.
I actually recoiled and rewound it to make sure God, that was nasty. Maybe the reason why Ruby was so bad in this match was because she was legit knocked silly.
Well, it wasn't just her, because Kevin Dunn, there was a count where the ref counted 1 and Kevin Dunn counted 2.
Yep.
And he was knocked pretty silly.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Kevin Dunn, that gets me to my second thing that I noticed. 2 times in this match, someone did a kip up, and the camera was on someone else. You got the aftermath of the kip up. You completely missed the kip up. I think Shayna... No, not Shayna. Bianca Belair did a kip up early in the match, and Lacey Evans did a kip up early in the match, and both times the camera was focused on someone else, and you just saw someone's foot move on the lower left-hand part of the screen, and I'm like, how are you this bad at this?
Here's the thing, Joshua. Do you want to know why that happens? Other than the fact that Vince Dunn is terrible at his job, it's because Drew McIntyre also does the kip up, and they got his perfectly, which means that he probably wouldn't have hey, don't show it to the audience because I want to do mine.
Then don't have it in the match in the first place. This isn't hard.
And don't do 3 Samoan drops while you're at it. Consistency.
And also, speaking of Ruby Riott, like, Ruby Riott, I'm sorry, but she's awful. She completely whiffed a Enziguri in this match. Completely whiffed it.
She had a bad night.
Yeah, she had a really bad night. But I will say, speaking of that, like, she had a bad night. Peyton Royce had a good night until it was time for her elimination. But up until that point, she looked actually pretty decent. She's improved.
Here's my question, though. Why give her Bayley's pin? Especially if you weren't going to keep her around.
Yeah, she was eliminated next, in the next minute.
That's all. That was my only question. I know they did the Bayley pin for the shock value of the biggest name getting eliminated. They do it all the time. I'm not surprised at that. I was just surprised at the choice of Peyton Royce out of all of that selection.
Because according to Bayley, she is really high on Peyton Royce, and this was her way of trying to make her a bigger star by giving her a marquee elimination.
She tapped out 30 seconds later.
Yeah, if only that had meant something.
I'm not going to explain their booking, but that's the reason why she was the one.
No, well, I'm sure Bayley was like, "Oh, here's my tribute," and Vince is like, "Oh, hold my beer, pal," and then booked that finish.
And also, Natalya tried to go for that that torture submission hold that they used to use when her and Beth Phoenix were like the Divas of Doom. But when she twisted it, like, they both got messed up. She fell over, stomped Peyton Royce, and then put her in the sharpshooter, and that was it. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
I would have liked Natalya's finisher instead of the sharpshooter to have been that discus clothesline.
Yeah, she can pop off some really good discus clotheslines.
That was... I don't think I've ever seen a discus clothesline that sharp.
Not even Luke Harper's?
I don't think even Luke Harper's. Brody, I would say Natalya has a better discus clothesline than Luke Harper.
That is some high praise.
That is some very high praise.
She's good at what she does. I think that she's just... Unfortunately, her gimmick has been, I wear pink, and I'm the son of Jim Neidhart, and rah! And throws her hands up above her head. And that's been it for the past 15 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
The problem for her
and
is that she just has no charisma.
Yeah, and also she's an idiot. She's booked to be an idiot, because in this match, she tried to put a sharpshooter on someone who wasn't even in the match and got punched in the face and pinned, like a moron.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing, Joshua. There are no rules in wrestling right now, so, I mean, it's worth a try.
That women's right looked pretty good, too.
That it looked really good.
Women's right I've seen.
I hate that that's her finishing move, but it was a pretty good punch. And I cannot believe... Like, has Lacey Evans done the Spanish Fly before? Because that was impressive.
Yes.
It was okay.
Yes, she's done the Spanish Fly, but,
I thought it was impressive, because I've never seen her do it before.
While we're on the subject of Lacey Evans, can we please dump this Southern Belle gimmick?
Please?
Okay, listen. That gimmick was made by someone who has never been in the South.
Yes.
Has no idea what a Southern Belle is. Probably doesn't even know how the language is spoken down there.
Let me put it this way. I have lived in South Carolina my entire life. It's embarrassing to watch.
Yeah.
Well, remember, this is Vince McMahon, who was angry that Luke Harper could not do a Southern accent.
Yeah, you're right. And then Lana won the account out.
Is from New York.
Yeah.
But then they did that out suplex, that like vertical suplex catch to the outside, which was so set up and took way too long to do. Any of those Tower of Doom type stuff, so the dives to the catch where everyone's standing in a huddle, they have no effect on me anymore.
And once again, Ruby Riott got absolutely obliterated. They landed right on top of her. So much for catching them.
Yeah. And then there was a hair tie in the middle of the ring, and that was a tripping hazard. Where was the referee to clean up that hair tie?
I don't know. Where was anyone on this show?
By the way, another thing about this match, because as better as I thought it was, this is something for all women out there and all men out there in the professional wrestling world. And I'm sure that both of you can think of at least 3 people when I say this. Screaming is not a gimmick.
First thing that pops into mind is Kelly Kelly.
Gunn Jr. It's just hoots and hollers and yells, and that's, I guess, your way to get the crowd involved, but it's just screaming. Ruby Riott did it. Liv Morgan did it.
Yep.
Sarah Logan did it.
Yep. But they're the Riot Squad. They're crazy. They're like rioters.
Nikki Cross did it.
But she's crazy.
You get my point.
Yes.
This needs to stop. It's time to stop.
I really miss Charlotte Flair.
You don't see Charlotte Flair using just screaming at the fans as a gimmick.
She only does that after she hits a really cool spear.
Why are so many women have this just screaming and wearing provocative clothing while you wrestle as their gimmick?
Why are they wearing makeup as they wrestle?
That by Vince and company. I mean, that's a Michael P.S. Hayes thing. Okay, let's not get this twisted.
Like, after the match with Lana just had lipstick smeared all over her face and she looked like an idiot, I'm like, why put that on when you're about to be in a wrestling match? I've never understood that.
Because she has to be sexy.
Well, I would rather have her lipstick than the wingtips that they gave Ronda Rousey.
Oh, God.
But she's a bird for some reason. She's a bird.
I am bird person, wrestler, martial artist, fighter, cow herder.
Yeah.
Video gamer.
Allegedly.
Sonya Blade.
Sonya Blade.
Bird.
Sonya Blade bird.
Now, let's just move on to something really quickly. This match is over because Bianca Belair and Nia Jax both got counted out, and Lana, who was standing on the steel steps doing nothing, won the match as a sole survivor. Do you want to know how they translated this on to Raw?
Didn't Asuka kick Shayna Baszler in the face and then Lana pinned her?
Yes, and now they're going to compete for the tag team championships.
Oh God!
Oh great!
I'm so glad I don't care about the women's division. Can you imagine if I cared about the women's division?
Well, speaking of Shayna Baszler getting eliminated like a total idiot.
Oh yeah.
Shayna Baszler got eliminated like a total idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And why do heels have to look like idiots when they get eliminated? Or when they get
because
pinned?
They're heels and they're bad guys and they should.
You sound so deflated, Sean.
I liked this match. It was still a much better outing than the men's match. But just the overall the presentation of women's wrestling in WWE leaves so much to be desired.
Yeah.
In wrestling in general.
It's true.
But yeah,
at least it picked up.
Damn true.
All right.
At least it picked up.
Up next, we have our main event, which was by far the best match on the show. I think you'll agree. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, WWE Champion versus Universal Champion. Thoughts on this match?
They sold my match and they're gonna get fucking sued.
Okay, now for anyone who listens to the Totally Awesome podcast and lives under a rock and doesn't listen to the Court Martial podcast, which you can find the link in the description of this video, as well as Survivor Series footnotes from last week, and as well as an NWL versus ACPW fantasy league that Skyler and I have been doing for 7 months, also on that channel.
Yeah, how do you guys not know this? Where have you guys been? You've been watching WWE too much. That's what the problem is.
In case you have not been paying attention, Skyler and I have been doing a fantasy back and forth booking, and the main event of his WrestleMania, quote unquote, Wrestle Festival, was Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. And he booked a somewhat similar, albeit better, finish than what Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns did here, which is why Skyler is going into promo mode. Now that you all have the context, you may continue your rant.
And it's not just this match, but it's also the fact that we have AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre for TLC, and that's great and all. But what was my first show's main event?
It was AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre.
WWE is getting fucking sued.
Yeah, well, look at WWE's track records of wins and losses in lawsuits. Good luck, buddy.
I bet you they're gonna listen to my show 7 months ago and think, wow, that was a great booked match. Let's do that.
If WWE had the intelligence, the brain trust behind them to think that well, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I swear to God, if they end that match with AJ trying to do a phenomenal form and Drew McIntyre counters with a Claymore, which is the finish to that match I made.
They're legitimately not smart enough to steal from you, Sky.
If that is the finish, I will laugh uproariously.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And we will actually review that match on this show just for Skyler's reaction.
Yes. But anyways, this match is actually for something. It's not just champion versus champion, but for the title of being the guy in WWE. And as Roman Reigns puts it, Drew McIntyre is the right guy at the right place at the wrong time.
I love that callback. Because they were actually like, he called him, hey, number 2, during the entire match, which I thought was great.
Yeah, because he said on a promo on SmackDown saying, Drew, you're always going to be my favorite number 2.
He's such a
Drew
dad.
McIntyre is a big shit. Yeah, that's what he meant by that.
He's a superhero in training.
Well, to me, this should have been a Mania.
Yes.
This is a WrestleMania match. This did not belong on Survivor Series. And it did not belong on Survivor Series with nobody there in front of a Thunderdome with Kevin Dunderdome, head of the Dimsdale Dunderdome. Just ruining it again because the pumped-in... I said 3 times in this match, Dunn is ruining this match with the crowd chants.
Yep. This is awesome chant near the end was just insufferable.
It's literally Kevin Dunn just jacking himself off.
Yes.
And it's just... And Cole saying, oh, this is the feeling out process. Stop. Stop.
This is a war, Sean. Did you know that we're watching an actual war in this match? It's a war. Did I emphasize a war enough?
Well, Roman Reigns had his Thanos glove, so he was obviously prepared.
Yes.
And Drew McIntyre had a fucking sword.
Yeah.
That's Vince McMahon's sword, mind you.
McMahon has a sword.
Even better.
You guys know that, right? That actually is Vince McMahon's sword.
Yes, I know that.
Vince McMahon is not cool enough to own a sword, okay? That bothers me.
Triple H gave it to him.
Huh?
Triple H gave him the sword for one of his birthdays. He had it like hand forged to give to Vince McMahon. So Vince actually gave Drew that sword to use.
Huh.
That is actually Vince McMahon's sword, which might be the only badass quality left of Vince McMahon is I own this dope sword.
But Sean, I thought that sword was passed down throughout Drew McIntyre's family.
Kayfabe.
For a second there, I thought you were just hissing at me violently.
Well, speaking of violent hissing, Drew took a step on the bump, on the steel steps during this match, which was great. I love this match.
Yeah.
But he takes a bump step. It just didn't look too crisp. He didn't really get into it right. And you know, he obviously hasn't been paying attention to Triple H doing it in literally every match Triple H has ever been in ever.
You're so right.
Literally any match on Raw, can I do the steps bump? Do you want to go out there? All right, I'm doing the steps bump.
I literally just cycled through at least 20 Triple H matches in my brain just now, and each and every single one I remember vividly. Him going chest first into the steel steps. Each and every one.
Yep, everyone. He loved doing that step up, even in the Rumble.
He goes into the Elimination Chamber and brings a pair of steps with him, so he can do that bump.
Yes.
That's actually how he escapes the chamber. He just has, instead of the chamber with him, he's just set up like 4 steel steps on either side. And then when the lights come on, he just takes that bump into the steps to get out of his pod.
Oh, God.
Building a stairway to heaven.
Amazing.
Oh, God.
But
we have two grown-ass men punching the living shit out of each other.
Finally.
Yeah. My God, it was glorious.
Yes.
The tone and the charisma and the aura in this match was 1,000 times different than anything we had seen up to this point.
This was like a different show.
It was separating the men from the boys.
Yes.
You know,
it honestly felt like a WrestleMania main event. Like, this was a match where Roman was clearly the heel, dominant champion, and Drew McIntyre is the dominant face, and he's looking for the championship. Yeah,
it felt like a match between the two best wrestlers in the company.
Yeah, and that's Spinebuster, though.
Oh, yes.
That's Spinebuster. Drew, I gotta give you credit, man. That was a hell of a Spinebuster. Arn would be proud if he wasn't facing Sting at AEW.
He may have the best Spinebuster in wrestling.
Currently.
But I will say one of my favorite things about this match is, as much as we hate the commentary, I love that they referenced Drew McIntyre eliminating Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble to win the Rumble that started this whole year for Drew McIntyre. I love that they brought that up.
Last year in the Survivor Series match when Roman Reigns eliminated Drew McIntyre in the Survivor Series match last year.
When they want to, they can tell a good story. When they want to. It's just like they never want to.
Yeah. Well, because they don't want anyone to get over.
You have to know, Joshua, that wasn't actually, that they didn't plan this a year ago.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Well, if you gentlemen recall, the original matchup that they were planning for WrestleMania 36 was Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. And then they switched it so that Roman Reigns would face Goldberg, and then that got kiboshed, and then I don't know why I thought about WrestleMania 36. That just made me depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then they do the spear into the Kimura lock, which looked awesome.
Although, so I was just giving them credit for bringing up other storyline stuff. None of the announcers were like, dude, that's Brock Lesnar's Kimura. None of them said it once. And I was like, it's right there in front of you. Just say that's what Brock Lesnar used on Roman Reigns a lot. Just bring it up, but they never mentioned it once. They called it the Kimura once, and then they just never mentioned it again. I hate the commentary.
By the way, has Brock Lesnar ever countered a spear into a Kimura lock?
He countered one into a guillotine.
But he never did a spear into a Kimura lock.
I don't think so.
Because I was racking my brain, it's like, that was amazing. I don't know how he was able to do it, but by damn he did it. Not even Brock could do it better.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my response to all of that. I don't mind the fact that they didn't mention Brock only for what I call it is the Ziggler effect. Where Ziggler does a bunch of people's moves, and then they always reference those people. Like, Ziggler would do the super kick, he'll tune up the band and be like, oh, Shawn Michaels super kick's coming, and then everyone in their mind psychologically in the stadium, instead of thinking about how cool Dolph Ziggler is and how good Ziggler's kick is, they're like, oh yeah, remember Shawn Michaels? Oh yeah, I remember. You remember? I remember Shawn Michaels. You remember? And now, I feel like you would have that same type of deal if you did that Kimura, and they're like, oh, that's Brock Lesnar's Kimura. And not that it would detract from Drew, but there'd still be that little psychological bit that would take that moment away from Drew and put it on the Brock Lesnar. And be like, oh, yeah, remember Brock Lesnar? He's not in this match, but...
I kind of see your point, although if it were me, I would bring up the fact that Drew McIntyre did what Roman Reigns struggled to do, which was beat Brock Lesnar. They should have brought that up in this match.
If you were going to say it, what I would have done is after the lock was done, say something like, wow, not even Brock Lesnar's been able to put the Kimura on Roman Reigns out of a spear, and acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And make it still feel more like Drew is the important factor there. That Brock Lesnar couldn't do that. Not, oh, look, there's Brock Lesnar's Kimura, but not even Brock Lesnar could do a Kimura the way that Drew did it, so that Drew is still the attention and the focal point and gets more of the attention and the star points, for lack of a better phrase.
What does it say about life on Earth? What does it say about life on Earth that we're here doing this podcast and they're booking the show and not us?
Well, if you want to hear more about booking, you can always check out TAW Gaming and all of TAW's exciting programming, from XAW to TAW Action to all of the pay-per-views, or you can listen on the Court Martial podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell button for both channels to hear Skyler and myself do better booking than anything that any modern wrestling is coming out with. It is your opportunity right now to get all of the greatest sounding bites, the greatest booking opportunities you have ever heard. Your minds will be blown, your balls will be shot out into the universe, and if your female parts will be ruptured and distributed across all of upstate Pittsburgh. This is the time to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button for the best wrestling booking and commentary you will ever see and find. What were we talking about?
And demonetized.
Sean, how are you not a ring announcer?
Because no one spotted me yet. Real wrestling lives underground.
Oh, Lord.
Also because, wait, Raw Underground?
No. Back to Roman and Drew.
Can I make 2 points? Tune in a couple
So
of weeks.
long as they don't involve Shane McMahon.
Okay, I just thought of something. As good as this match was, as great a main event this was, there's one thing I really hate about it. The fact that, just think about this. Drew McIntyre, the first pay-per-view he main evented as WWE Champion was Hell in a Cell, where he lost. He won the title back 2 weeks later, which made you think, why did he even lose the title in the first place? Just so he can main event this pay-per-view and lose again.
At least he lost by a heel's cheating, in theory.
I know Roman Reigns needed this win, but still, they should not have had Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton. I mean, they should not have had Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell.
Agreed.
That, what was the point of that?
That was a head-scratcher.
That was
not even they
Randy Orton another world title reign.
That's a reason, not a good reason.
Well, think of it this way, folks. This main event could have been Roman Reigns versus The Miz.
No.
God.
So why don't we just take the good for the good?
Yeah. This was a great main event. This was a great way to... Well, I would say this is a great way to close the show, but they closed the show with the Undertaker stuff.
It was
Wait. We were driving by the point I wanted to make earlier, but I didn't get a chance to, so shut up. No, okay.
Red flag!
Do you think the Kimura Lock tease by Drew McIntyre and Roman is a foreshadow of a Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match?
I hope not.
I don't think they're smart enough to do that.
Because they wouldn't reference Brock Lesnar's name if he was still under contract with them, right?
Which he's not.
They mentioned Kairi Sane.
Yeah, that's a different situation. But anyways, the SmackDown after, Roman said that he was not happy that Jey Uso interfered in his match. And he wanted Jey Uso to prove he is a man or he's not a member of the family. So Jey Uso beats up Daniel Bryan because he was about to face Roman Reigns. And now, at TLC, it is going to be Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan. And then, Kevin Owens defeated Jey Uso for the right to face off against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So It's Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns.
All right.
So where's the 22-second Goldberg win coming in? Is that next month? Or is that the month after that?
First off, fuck off.
You said that 3 times. So you said first off 3 times. So there was 3 offs there. How many offs do you got? I only have 1, and I use it for spraying mosquitoes.
Apparently, I'm the mosquito.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
spraying the off.
Anyways, how do you guys feel
this
about
is deteriorating in a different way now.
How do you guys feel about the TLC pay-per-view card that I just listed?
Sounds interesting. I wonder what steps they're going to use. For what
I
match?
wish Kevin Owens had been built up to that Universal title match.
What, you mean him getting pinned, like, early in the match tonight by AJ Styles, and Jey Uso just watching him get pinned? That wasn't good enough build for you, Sean? What more could you ask for?
Well, maybe if you guys watch SmackDown.
No.
That's funny. That's a good joke, Sky. That's a real good joke.
As the one guy who watches SmackDown, I actually have been enjoying the build, and I think it's going to be an interesting match.
I'll take it. I mean, what they did in their match, what was it? Was it the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, Royal Rumble 2017.
That I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that was a good match.
So those two have put on a good show. They'll put on a good match.
Yeah.
As will Jey Uso and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Which leads into my theory that Daniel Bryan will challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Royal Rumble 2021.
Ooh, I'm up for that.
So when's Goldberg coming in?
WrestleMania 37 in Tampa Bay. WrestleMania 37 in Tampa Bay.
Oh, God.
So, not gonna lie, I did not watch much of the Undertaker segment. Did either of you watch the Undertaker
Buckle up,
segment?
buddy.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna let Sean have this one.
Okay. I appreciate the floor. I'm gonna try and do this without my blood pressure rising any higher than it already is.
Oh no.
So bear with us for me. And I'm also going to try and do this without getting just actually depressed. First of all, it's Undertaker's goodbye, and they have a comically animated announcer be like, "This is Taker's final farewell."
Oh god, that was so awkward.
What a great way to start this. And then in comes Shane McMahon.
That was the next thing I noticed. I'm just like, why?
Why? But no, this is the best part. They bring like 30 people in, including the Godwins and the Godfather and all of Undertaker's real-life friends, which was very cringy to say, Cole.
But they're real-life friends, because this is fake. They're real friends.
Yeah, that was awful. That was actually awful.
I think I know where you're going with this, Sean. They brought all these people down there just to pose, and then they made them all leave.
They do the package and they all disappear. They don't even interact with the Undertaker. They don't even talk about the Undertaker. They all get their entrance, just stand there, and then they're gone.
Why?
I love the Big Show checking his watch. Like, all right, how long is this going? Because this is like...
Is it me, or did most of them look like they did not want to be there?
They all didn't want to be there. None of them had masks. They're all going to die. The intros just don't have the oomph when Kevin Dunn is pumping in the nostalgia pops.
Kevin Nash looked like he wanted to turn around and leave.
Looked like he wanted to wear his damn mask.
I love the fact that Kane was the only guy in full kayfabe getup, like he was about to chokeslam the Undertaker later. I love that Glenn Jacobs was ready to go. He's like, "No, I'll throw it down right here, right now."
Can you imagine getting the phone call?
You know what?
Can you imagine?
Glenn Jacobs probably was pissed that everyone else wore suits, and he's like, "Come on, guys, I'm the only one here wearing a wrestling outfit."
Can you imagine getting the phone call? Hey, Mr. Legend Guy, you want to come down to our pay-per-view just to do an entrance, and then you just leave?
We'll give you $600,000.
There'll be 20 of you.
Deal.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah. God, this was awkward.
But then JBL and Triple H had a really awkward moment, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's like Triple H went for a high five, and then JBL went to shake his hand, and then they did like this real awkward thing where they kind of just looked at each other, and then Triple H just kept walking, and it was really weird. I was like, all right. Kane wore a mask, and then John Cena had the Matt Hardy streak in his hair.
Wait, was John Cena there?
No, John Cena was in the video package, but it looked like he was dying of sepsis.
His hair looks so weird.
I did not understand.
It's like in the Ten Commandments movie when Moses sees God and like ages 100 years. It's like John Cena went up Mount Sinai, saw God, and aged like 50 years, and then they interviewed him. That's what he looked like.
I think he's been burning a few too many bushes, if you know what I'm saying.
Man, John Cena must be taking that breakup with Nikki Bella harder than I thought he was.
Batista looked like, when they interviewed Batista, it looked like he was so ready to just leave.
So he's like, I'm finally back with Nikki Bella.
Oof. So, nice to see you, John. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. But yeah.
Please fix your damn hair.
And then, out comes Vince McMahon. Was this even Vince McMahon?
I could barely understand a word he said.
He looked awful. I mean, he didn't look too good. He didn't sound too good. He mentioned WWF, so you know he's really losing it.
Yeah.
He looked like the puppet. The Bray Wyatt's puppet of Vince McMahon looks better than actual Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon looks like he's going to die any day now, which hopefully he does.
Wow. Jesus. This is getting spicy.
This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen.
We started
at the beginning of the podcast and got all the way to here. But speaking of dead men, great segue.
I see what you did there.
Great segue. And it really takes a humble man to mention that his own segue was fantastic.
Man, that segue was quite the undertaking.
Great segue. Oh, that was okay. There we go. That was a good one. That was good. And then,
bury both of you.
And then, Undertaker comes out. I got real sad here, and not for the reasons that everyone else got sad. I got sad here because Undertaker comes out, and 5 minutes later, he's in the ring, and the music still hasn't stopped, and he looks around, and he looks kind of towards the camera. And I don't know whether they're pumping in Kevin Dunn's crowd noise into the actual arena itself, or whether that's just coming in post. But this was really where I got so sad, because you could tell with nobody there and the fake thank you Taker chants and everything, this was this retirement was so overly scripted, overly produced, that you could see it in Taker's eyes. The first thing that, when you saw his eyes, the first thing that came to my mind was, this is not the way I wanted it. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, not because of what he had to say, but because he had to sit there, and as he was saying it, Kevin Dunn's pumping in cheers and chants and cheers, and it, instead of being a genuine moment where we all felt the emotion, where 100,000 people could pay the tribute to the Undertaker he truly deserves for the type of career he had, where they could show their love for him, his appreciation, where real tears would be in the eyes of the fans as they said goodbye to a true legend. Instead, what we got was manufactured. It was manufactured sadness, manufactured sympathy, and it came off so manufactured and so fake. And I hate using the word because I'm an old school guy, but it was fake. It was so bad. Taker should have taken that mic and gone, that's enough, Dunn, and had this whole thing silent. Because the moment would have been so much more gravitas if Taker said those words and said, it's time for the Undertaker to rest in peace. Even if he was having trouble saying it because of how hard it was for him to do it, it would have been so much more powerful in silence. The tribute to Paul Bearer in silence would have really tugged at the heartstrings. This sucked. And the middle of the middle of the Undertaker's, I'm getting so mad I'm saying other people's names. It's in the middle of Undertaker's promo, he stopped and paused, and when he paused, Dunn pumped in more chants, which made me think that they actually produced and wrote what Taker had to say for his final promo. And that infuriates me. That breaks my heart.
That's
because
gross.
This man deserves so much better than this. So much better than this manufactured, Kevin Dunn produced garbage finish to a career that meant so much more than that.
That's a speech right there, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a shame. It's such a shame. That man deserves so much better than that. It broke my heart. And I genuinely hope that WWE does what they do best and have him come out for one more.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I very much agree. I didn't watch the whole thing because, honestly, when Vince McMahon was droning on and on, that may have actually been a drone. I got bored and turned it off. So I'm glad I missed this because it sounds absolutely depressing.
You would have been hurt seeing it, I think.
Yeah.
Because I was genuinely hurt watching this as a fan. No matter how old you are and how old a fan, The Undertaker's been a constant for many, many, many generations of wrestling fans.
Oh yeah.
And to have someone like that who, no matter where you are in the wrestling spectrum, to have at least one good memory of The Undertaker, to have that and the legacy of The Undertaker come to an end like it was making a mockery of what he'd done for 30 years. It honestly felt almost like the chants and the crowd and the cheers were almost mocking The Undertaker, and that to me was insulting.
Damn. I'm glad I turned it off at that point then, because I feel like if I was watching the thing, I would have been just like, this is awkward, this is phony.
You probably would have turned it off midway through, still.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sky, what do you think?
I can't top what you said. It's just... There's...
I get it.
I saw when I was watching wrestling was The Undertaker. And seeing this dead man walk with the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist, the aura to draw you in, to give you fear, but to also make you respect him. Generations of wrestling fans have grown up around with The Undertaker, and he has been a touch point for wrestling fans over his 30-year career. And to see a symbol of what pro wrestling, what it used to be, what it used to be in the past, this felt like the final nail in the coffin of pro wrestling. Because to watch The Undertaker retire with no fans, pumped in music, pumped in crowd noise, having the video board fans react to what he was saying, but on a time loop.
Yeah.
This hurt. This hurt. And it really...
I'm so glad I missed
this.
It
Was a shitty way for him to go. And given the real-life circumstances of COVID-19, I don't blame how they decided to do it, but if they were going to do it, they should have done it with respect to The Undertaker. They should have done it with class. They should have given him the opportunity to say his piece in a real way.
There are so many different things they could have done. There's so many things they could have done. Like Sean was saying earlier, like they turn all the lights off, they turn all the screens off, it's just The Undertaker. Or they could have had like a sit-down interview in the back or something like that. Just anything other than in front of a bunch of screens with piped-in crowd noise.
Yeah, it was...
Now, I will say this. As bad as this was, they almost got me with the Paul Bear video. What was it, hologram?
Yeah.
Because it looked like a ghost. The Paul Bear was looking to acknowledge The Undertaker one last time, and I got misty-eyed because
I did like that. That was a touching tribute
of how beautiful it was.
Yeah,
like that was honestly the best part of this whole thing.
It was a touching tribute to Paul. I did really like that, but it was ruined by Kevin Dunn. It was just absolutely ruined. It really hurt deeper than I think most things in wrestling to me do. You know, I think to an extent we're all pretty desensitized to wrestling booking at this point.
Oh yeah.
All understand. We get what we're getting, right? We know what we're getting. There's not many moments anymore that really get you. You know, the way that there is, because we've been accustomed to that, because that's what WWE has accustomed us to. But to have something like this, which tugs at the very core of who fans relate to and who people identify as a wrestling fan for. This hurt me as the fan, the lover of pro wrestling that I am, in a way that I don't think WWE intended for it to be that insulting. I think they honestly, genuinely thought they were paying good tribute to The Undertaker here. So I don't put any maliciousness on their part. I think it's just stupidity until proven malice.
Yeah. That's actually really good. I'm going to borrow that.
It's what they're good at.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
It's a part of their life, and it's just, to me, I guess it was just that final significance that, even though they've said it many years and we've known it for many, many years, WWE has nothing to do with professional wrestling anymore. And I think that the way you put it, Sky, is very right, that WWE may have finally put that last final parting shot to pro wrestling in with what happened here with The Undertaker.
Because even in the lean years of WWE, like 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever, there was one last vestige of pro wrestling as it used to be, and that was The Undertaker, a guy who never made appearances outside of wrestling, who kept kayfabe alive, who treated it with respect, and made professional wrestling matter. And sure, there are guys around that we like. Like, we like Randy Orton, we like Rey Mysterio, we like Edge, but none of
Reigns and McIntyre.
Reigns and McIntyre, absolutely.
None of them have the mystique of The Undertaker. And
never will.
That's true.
And never will.
And it's, I don't mean for this to be just like such a somber way to end a podcast like this, because it's like, but it genuinely was like, I've never experienced anything like this from watching wrestling, because it was, I wasn't prepared for like the emotional, I guess, anguish I felt. And not in the way of like saying goodbye to The Undertaker. That wasn't the problem. I was fine seeing The Undertaker ride into the wrestling sunset. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
That was not the problem I had here. This was not, it wasn't the goodbye. It was
the execution of the goodbye.
It wasn't the goodbye. It was the means of the goodbye. It was how he had to leave. He rode, instead of riding out on a horse into the sunset, he rode out on like one of those cyber dogs or like a Furby.
He rode out on that little dog that's in Roman Reigns' Titantron.
It's
Dad.
Yes, we
Dad. This was sad. This was sad.
It was sad.
Anyway.
It was sad.
So overall, what do you guys give as a score for this show?
Yeah, bringing this whole thing to a close. Since I'm the host, I guess I'll go first. Overall, I thought this show was okay. Nothing was truly awful. There were some awful moments, but nothing like really made me that mad. It was just more of the same, honestly, what Sean said at the beginning. I'm going to give this a very generous 5 out of 10.
Sky?
I struggle with this show because there were stuff I liked, there was stuff I didn't like. It just felt middling. It just felt like filler. Like, have fun, enjoy the brand versus brand, but none of this matters in like a week or two. I'm gonna take a note from Sean and do a Bret Hart 4 out of 10, and 3 of those 4 points came from Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, because this really was a one-match show.
It really was. It really was.
And I'm amazed that after the 10-minute diatribe I just went into, that I'm actually going to give the highest score of the 3 of us. But nothing on this show that wasn't The Undertaker's farewell was egregiously offensive, which I commend. I think
that is such a low bar. Nothing on this show made me very depressed. when that's a positive.
Except
But
for the
here's
finish.
the thing. This is WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If-
kind of what I was touching on earlier. You get desensitized to some of it.
Yeah.
So part of it is just me being numb to the really dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And just being like, all right, WWE, what are you going to do? I think the concept of Survivor Series is dead. Unless they find some way to shift it or make it actually heels against baby faces again, which would be a good start.
Stop doing Raw versus SmackDown.
Yeah,
Stop
stop the
doing
brand.
If
that.
they're going to do Raw versus SmackDown, make it a bragging rights pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Give it the Survivor Series name.
It's just the concept is done, which I think hinders the entirety of how I view the match. So for end the show, but for what it was, Drew and Roman was good. There were things that I thought were going to be worse. I thought that women's 5-on-5, except for the dog fart finish, I thought that was going to be worse. Sammy and Bobby ended up being better than I thought it'd be, and the rest was pretty much par for the course. So I gave it, for the sake of Drew and Roman, and that there were people in this show who try hard, and I give them credit for that. I give it a 5.5.
I'm
But
down with that.
I will tell you this. I don't know how much more of all of this Kevin Dunn stuff I can stomach. Because this really accentuated, especially with the way The Undertaker went down, just how much of a problem Kevin Dunn is in the grand scheme of this show.
Oh, yes.
And between the Thunderdome and him botching that and botching what he normally botches back when he didn't have all these responsibilities, and then just making things look and feel so pointless and worthless and mocking, like making a mockery out of the Undertaker's career on this night. I'm at my wit's end with Kevin Dunn.
I think anything else, if he does something worse than with The Undertaker, I think Shawn will actually go to Connecticut and murder him.
I'm already in Connecticut, motherfucker.
Oh,
I'll
God.
go right to
Oh, no. Kevin, run. Kevin, run.
But unfortunately, he's in Florida, so.
Oh, okay.
But in any event,
So, what you guys are saying is road trip to Florida?
Yes. With a
what
gun.
I'm saying is you're on thin ice, Kevin Dunn, and you're in Florida.
Yeah.
And ice and Florida don't mix a whole lot, so
You are in America's penis. We will
Once
find
I'm done-
you.
Once I'm done fighting Chris Jericho, you're on my list. You're on my list.
All right. Oh, I see what you did there. On the list. He's on the list.
This is gonna get worse.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys so much for enjoying this really long. I think this is one of our longest ones. This TAP episode reviewing Survivor Series. Let us know what you think of Survivor Series 2020. 2 weeks after the fact, we know, and we may or may not review TLC. I have no idea. And
We'll
NXT
get
is.
back for the Rumble.
There's going to be an NXT show this Sunday. I may or may not try to do a live stream for it. It's on Sunday. But I'll keep you updated with that. If it happens, it happens.
Hold on, Joshua. You gotta say the name of the pay-per-view like William Regal.
War Games!
Oh,
There we go.
Did I do it? Alright.
Yes.
Since I did it, we can leave now. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Check out the Court Martial podcast. It's great. Like, comment, subscribe to that. And also Colonial Impact Wrestling, Sean's other channel, the wrestling channel. Go check that out. If you happen to bump into Skyler Greenberg on social media, I don't know, is poking on Facebook still a thing?
You can also stick to. I don't think so, but you can also find him on a semi-regular basis on the Court Martial podcast.
Yes.
You
And
can
of
find
course,
me on Facebook. You can find me on the Court Martial podcast on Instagram and Twitter.
all right. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And we will see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.